This is a story about what happened between my wife and me. I am going to give you a little background to help you better understand what and why I did what I did. My name is Albert Bell, Al to my friends. I graduated high school and started looking for work. I was not a very good student. I hated studying, so college was not in my future. While job hunting, I happened to pass the Marine Corps recruiting station. Everywhere I applied for a job wanted experienced people. My thoughts were that the Marines would give me the experience I needed, so I walked in. 2 hours later, I had a bus ticket to Paris Island, SC. 4 years later, I was back looking for a job. I found out that very few companies needed a former Marine corporal who was an expert with an M16 rifle and could direct fire onto a target from a 105mm howitzer. I was hired by a construction company as a laborer. One night I was eating supper at a crowded restaurant when this nice-looking girl asked if she could sit at my table. We started talking and I found out she was my age, had graduated college with a BBA degree, and was working in the purchasing department for a large manufacturing company. She was cute, not beautiful, but nice. She looked the part of an executive. I'm a construction worker. This girl is above my pay grade, understand? But one thing led to another, and before we parted company, I had a date for Friday night. I am not going to bore you with the details of our courtship, but I will tell you that neither of us were virgins, and before long I was waking up in her bed. About a year later, we were married. Let's talk about Sue. Sue is smart. Why she went out with me is still a mystery, but we had a lot in common. That is other than our work. We both loved going to movies and critiquing them afterward. The same with books we read. We loved going to the beach and planned several vacations to different beaches. We both think it was on one of those trips that she became pregnant. Instead of that being a joyous thing for her, it became a sticking point in our marriage. She was moving up in her company and really did not have time for a kid, her exact words. She worked up until 2 weeks before the baby was born. Then, she was back at work before the baby was a month old. I quit my job and became a stay-at-home dad. I also had a vasectomy. Please try to understand, that was part of the deal. She wanted to have an abortion. I was against it. So, the deal was she would have the baby, I would take care of it, and we would only have one kid. About 6 months after my baby boy was born, Sue's boss at work dropped dead of a heart attack in his office. Sue was made the acting purchasing agent until another one could be found. Now, I must explain something here. This was at a time in history when companies were trying to show how they were in tune with the times. There were very few women executives and none at the company where she worked. Long story short, Sue was made the purchasing agent and given a seat on the board. Now, I am not saying she did not deserve it or could not handle the job. From everything I heard, she did a fine job. I was proud of her. She had the qualifications and was in the right place at the right time. Now she was making more than she and I put together before she had the baby. It may have gone to her head a little, just a little. She had to work a little more, and a couple of times the first year she had to go on business trips. I could not go with her because of my duties at home. No problem, I trusted her. The boy is 4 years old now, and everything is going well in our lives. Sue has really excelled and is a vital part of the company. Our lives are fantastic, in my opinion. We have bought a nice house in an upscale neighborhood. We both drive new cars, and we are saving money for a trip to Hawaii. I was at the drugstore picking up a prescription for the boy. He had a cold. When the young girl behind the druggist counter asked if I would like to pick up my wife's birth control prescription also, it was ready. That stunned me. Why would my wife be taking birth control? I have a vasectomy. I tried not to let my surprise show and said, sure. After receiving her pills, I looked at them and asked the girl, how long has she been taking these? They look different from the ones I remember. No, these are the same ones she has been taking since we began filling them 7 months ago. I must be mistaken. Have a good day, I replied. I left knowing my wife was cheating. I will not put up with a cheater, especially someone that I loved and trusted. I know she has been deceiving me for at least 7 months, probably longer. The babysitter was watching the boy, and I was supposed to be doing the weekly shopping after picking up his medicine, but I decided to forget about the shopping. I walked down the strip mall to a lawyer's office. After entering and explaining to a blonde woman that I wanted to talk to a lawyer about a divorce, I was shown into an office. This guy, Saul, is right out of a TV series. Sleazy is the work that comes to mind. I explained what I had discovered. After he asked where Sue worked and how much she made, he jumped up. I swear I could see dollar signs in his eyes. He would draw the papers up this afternoon. We could get her served tomorrow. At her work would be best. She would be responsible for everything: house notes, car notes, maintenance, even his legal fees. He grinned when he said that. I asked if I needed proof of her infidelity. Hell no, this is a no-fault state. I am going to include an order where she will have to vacate the premises. I don't want you two talking. She might try to convince you she has a reason for taking those pills. What about our baby? I asked. She'll get visiting rights. A couple times a month, maybe 2 weeks in the summer. We'll work all that out. Are you sure? I mean, she is the mother, I asked. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, he shouted. She is the sole earner in the household. If she tries to fight the divorce, we'll fight back, dirty. She knows what she is doing. We'll hire a private detective and find out who is her lover. Maybe one of the other company executives. I'm sure she doesn't want that made public. She might lose her job. But I thought this was a no-fault state. There is an exception for cheating. Just let me handle it. You go home and act normal. Tomorrow the shit will hit the fan. He asked for $500 to get started, and I wrote him a check. At home that night, I hid the birth control pills and played like I was tired when she got amorous. I thought maybe I should go to a clinic and get a blood test. Better safe than sorry. The next day was pretty normal until about noon when Sue stormed into the house. I was prepared for this. She was crying and threw the papers she had been served on the table where I was eating lunch. The boy was down for his nap. "What the hell is this?" she was screaming. "Keep your voice down or you will wake the boy." I walked over to a cabinet and opened the drawer where I had placed the birth control pills. I handed them to her. Her demeanor changed. She sat down at the kitchen table. She did not try to lie. With tears in her eyes, she looked at me and said, "I'm sorry. I did not want you to find out. I was so careful. Please listen to me. I love you and the life we have, and there is nothing I love more than making love to you." "Then tell me why," I asked. "Let me start at the beginning. Maybe we can work this out. I don't want to lose you." "No lies, Sue," I replied. "I promise no lies. About 8 months ago, I had a lunch meeting, strictly business, with a supplier. A new salesman showed up explaining that the other man had retired. This guy is young, maybe 25 years old. He is very good-looking, charming, and funny. We joked about a number of things, from the business to politics. I enjoyed myself and was a little flirtatious with him. He flirted back. After lunch, we were having a coffee and discussing business when he said, "I have to go drain my anaconda." "More like a worm, I bet," I replied to this young guy. He looked at me like I insulted him. "My room is upstairs. Let's go. If my snake is over 10 inches long, you have to sleep with me. If not, you can laugh and tell everyone about me calling it an anaconda." I accepted his challenge. Why? I do not know, but I did. I think I was just intrigued. I wanted to see if he really had a 10 snake. We started for his room. At the front desk, he asked to borrow a ruler. I was getting nervous. He seemed so sure of himself. He never kissed me or even hugged me. In the room, he took off his sports coat and shirt. He works out and is well-muscled. Then he stepped out of his dress pants and shoes. He left his socks on. He was wearing boxers, and I could see his snake starting to grow. I was amazed. He handed me the ruler and pushed me down. In seconds, I was on my knees. I slowly lowered his shorts. My God, Al! I was staring at the biggest snake I ever saw in my life. I held it in my hand and laid the ruler along it. Damn! It was almost 10.5 inches long. I looked up at him and he was grinning. "How about starting with a quick suck?" he replied. I used my tongue to circle its head and play with the slit. He pulled me to my feet and started to undress me. I did not object. Why? I do not know. I should have, but I did not. It was when he finished with me that I realized he had not used any protection. Since your vasectomy, I never worried about getting pregnant. We kissed, and I got dressed and left his room. I was panicking about getting pregnant. In the lobby, I called my doctor. I told her everything, and she sent me a prescription for the morning after pill. The next day, you thought I was coming down with the flu or something, remember? I was so sick for the next 3 days I had to take off work. You took such good care of me. I felt so guilty. Then the next Monday, I went on birth control. I always paid cash and hid the pills on my desk at work. Why did I go on birth control, you are wondering? I can see it on your face. Because I knew I would see him again. I was hooked on that big snake of his, and I did. He lives in another city, so we get together only when he is in town, usually every 2 or 3 weeks. It is always at his hotel. The days we sleep, and sleeping is all it is, not making love. I do not make love to you that night. I was so careful making sure you never suspected a thing. For 7 months, you have been sleeping with this guy, and you kept it from me by lying. Shit. Sue, how do you think that makes me feel? I asked. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. We can work this out. Maybe like a game. I'll tell you the day I am going to be with him. You dress me for him, then when I get home, I'll tell you all about it. Like a fantasy or something. Please, Al, let's figure something out. You want me to tolerate your cheating? No way. I've devoted my life to you. I gave up my job. I take care of our baby, the house, everything, for you. I do your laundry, make sure your clothes get to the dry cleaners, everything. I even had a vasectomy for you. Have you noticed that since you started talking, all you have said is that you are sorry? I'll bet you are. Sorry you got caught. You never said you would end it between you and this... What is his name? Now I am the one getting loud. Is that really important? She answered. I guess not. Get upstairs and pack your shit and get them out of the house. For some reason, she is getting pissed. I can see it in her eyes. His name is Jamal Fink, and he is black as the ace of spades. He is not the only black snake I have slept with either. Remember that business trip I took last month? I slept with the young man who brought me my room service. I decided that I like big snakes. Get upstairs and pack, or do I have to call the police? She huffed off to get her suitcases. I bent down and cut off the small tape recorder that Saul had given me and told me to record any conversation I had with Sue. I'm sure he will enjoy listening to her play-by-play of having Jamal Fink and her little adventure with room service at her hotel. She did stop in the boys' room and kissed him before she left. It was almost a month later when Saul called and said we had to attend a conference with Sue and her attorney. We were prepared. We sat in a conference room listening to her and her attorney plead her case for us to continue our marriage. How she did not want a divorce, and she was going to fight for our marriage. Her attorney said he could get the judge to order marriage consoling for maybe the next 6 or 8 months. He was going to wear us down. You'll evidently come around to our way of thinking and see that continuing in the marriage is the best for all concerned. My attorney smiled back and opened his briefcase. He produced a tape recorder and played the rant of her in our kitchen the day she was served. The judge will not allow that in court. I'll enter a motion to have... I'm not going to play it in court. If she does not sign the papers today, every one of her board of directors will hear it tonight when they open their personal emails. Also, Mr. Jamal Fink and everyone at his company will hear it, even his wife, whose father is the president of the company. He pushed the papers towards Sue. You can't do this. I'll get a court order. Saul held up his phone. I push this button and the emails go out immediately. No time for court orders. Sign. Sue's eyes were as big as saucers. Don't send the emails, I'll sign. She was grabbing for a pen. I recommend you not to sign those papers. The settlement is not in your favor. Her lawyer tried to interrupt. I cannot take a chance. I am the only woman executive, and if those men find out about my sex life, I will never be taken seriously again, maybe even fired. But surely my chances for advancing in the company will be over, she signed. Later in the car, as I drove Saul back to his office, I said, "That attorney is pissed at you. Where did you get all those email addresses, and how were you going to send them all at once from your phone?" "I was bluffing," he replied. I was astonished. Bluffing? Is this Jamal's wife's daddy really the president of the company? I asked. Who knows? Who cares? What matters is they believed it, he replied. What do I owe you, Saul? Nothing. Your ex-wife is paying my bill. She's going to be surprised at that also. I don't work cheap. He is laughing so hard I think he will pee in his pants. Here's some free advice. Sleep with whoever you want, but never get married. If you do that $6,000 a month, alimony goes away. The $2,000 a month child support ends when the boy is 18, but the alimony is forever. Also, you get a new car every 2 years. Remember, she will be paying for it, so get a nice one. Like this Lexus. That unfaithful woman is going to be brown bagging her lunch for the next few years. What if she loses her job? I asked. Her problem, not yours. We'll put her ass in jail if she misses 2 payments. I dropped Saul back at his office and went home to a beautiful life. Easy life. It's now 15 years later. We have just left my son's high school graduation. His mother had also attended, but kept her distance from me. My child support will end in 2 months, but my boy said she is still not happy. Could the reason be he has decided to go to college? He is not going to be a knuckle-dragger like his father. He takes after his mom in the brain department. According to the divorce settlement, she will have to pay for everything, tuition, room, board, books, everything. God bless Saul. Me? I never remarried. Now don't think I became some type of monk. First, there was the boy's 19-year-old babysitter. That lasted about a year. Then came a bunch of single moms from where the boy went to grade school. Play dates had a totally different meaning for me. When the pillow talk turned to marriage, I ended the relationship. When my son started high school, there was that gym teacher. Talk about a hot body. At present, my boy and I are planning a graduation trip to Cancun. He is taking his girlfriend, and I am taking her older sister. What happened to Sue? Sue makes the payments right on time. I never had to work another day in my life. That is unless you call to make sure the boy is fed, dressed, and on time for school or work. I made all the parent-teacher conferences, for your information another good place to score, and all the Little League baseball games and practices. About 5 years after our divorce, I saw that she was promoted to vice president of her company. A year or so after that, she remarried. It lasted 2 years. Don't really know what happened with that marriage, no fault, remember? One strange thing did happen about the time of her divorce from husband number 2. A health department official came by the house wanting to know the last time I had sex with Sue. I told him it had been years since I had even seen her. He grinned and said I was lucky. I never asked. Sue can sleep with both teams during halftime at the Grambling, Florida A&M football game, and I would not give a shit. But those monthly alimony checks better be on time. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.